And welcome back to the Record Straight podcast. Joining us, of course, as always, we've got Anthony and Chris from
Hello.
Cartel.
Benny.
Oh, what a pleasure. We're back here, episode 4, which is really exciting. We made it back.
Who
Who
would have thought?
Who would have thought we would actually make it this far?
I know.
People like it.
People-
I don't know why.
I wouldn't know why. Is it the hair? Is it the knowledge? Is it the... You got a new haircut. Chris got a new haircut,
Thank you,
everyone.
yes.
Round of applause
Show it
for
off.
Chris.
Thank you.
Looks good. Very good.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Well, hey, today, it's enough about us. Hey, it's more about the content today. But hey, we are jumping into the 5 key points of creating content that converts as an artist today.
Yeah.
A massive topic that's in the industry right now.
Huge.
Artists want content. I think this is what I hear Anthony and Chris say in our office all the time. I think take a shot every time these guys say artists want content.
Yeah, it's something that it just feels like a little bit of a missing link for a lot of artists, or it feels like something that their mindset is a little bit skewed on. So I feel like it's something that, you know, we could really, pardon the pun, but set the record straight today around, you know, that was good, wasn't it?
Really,
you liked
really
it, didn't you?
That was good.
No, I really feel like we can set the record straight around some specific things regarding content and you know, I guess the 5 kind of key things that we think are really important.
So, talking us through the episode today, we're going to be talking about intention. Who is the audience that you're appealing to and that you're going to be communicating with? The creation, the planning, the editing, the execution, the profile activity, talking about the profile audit, link trees, the back catalog, of course, having a catalog of content in those times that you need it, and then placement, how it's placed on social media platforms.
Absolutely.
To build into how it's converting your brand and your message. But number 1, the most important, I personally think, in the whole curation of content for an artist is intention.
Yeah.
And Chris, talk us through intention. I mean, how we communicate, like what is it that we need to be doing to communicate and creating our brand voice from that grassroots level?
I think I'll let Christina jump in a second, but let me ramble on first.
In a second, sorry, Chris.
Oh yeah, just like your turn.
Let me tell you, you just pipe down for a second. It really comes down to, what are we trying to achieve here? What is this artist project about? Is it about music? Is it about your vision? Your visual aesthetic? What are we actually trying to achieve here? If we don't have a clear intention with what we're actually trying to achieve overall with the artist project, we don't have an artist project. And that's just the simple fact of the matter. Content that rolls across social media is an extension of what our intention is. So if we're not clear on what that intention is, we have no project.
Yeah, I think if when you're thinking about what your intention is as an artist, go through the why, what, how, where, when thing that we all got taught in school. I think that it's like, who is your audience? What is the way that you're going to communicate that intention to those audiences? How are you planning to drive the consumption to your audio? And I think that I really want to just blanket it for this podcast. Your main bit of content, I personally think, as an artist, is your audio. And so always having that kind of understanding of how am I gonna drive consumption to the audio, or how am I gonna put eyeballs on my audio, or ears on the audio, is going to be the most important thing throughout this podcast.
I think you're not a content creator, you're an artist. Your content is the music catalog that you're releasing. Simple.
And there's going to be different elements of content creation, but I think that as long as we're always pointing back to the artist art form, which is the audio.
I guess what we're really trying to break down today, and Benny, you're going to get into this a fair bit.
Yeah, you're going to be great
where
with this, Benny.
Where I feel a lot of artists are going wrong is we have a song, we've got a coming soon post, we've got an out now post, and then the audience has just got to get on board because it's good. Yeah. And it just does not work that way.
How are we creating story? And I think I never even fathomed the whole your track, your music is your content until only you guys both mentioned it. And it's such a pinnacle point to put across to the audience. It's that, hey, you are the artist. You're not a content creator. You have an audio, you have a song, you have a project that needs to be conversion, that needs ears, eyeballs on the assets. It should be stemming from what that song, who you are as an artist, that's your intention.
Yeah.
And that's who you are. So understanding, again, you're what? What is it that you do the why. Why is it that you're doing what you do? And then and who are you as a person? What do you stand for? And then convey that through your messaging in your content.
I think for most artists, they seriously just want to make music that makes people feel something. Happy, sad, angry, hot, whatever it is. And the story across socials is not marketing, it's narrative building.
Yeah.
And they're two very, very different things. So when it comes, the intention is so important around why you want to do what you want to do. It is everything. Otherwise, everything does break down.
Yeah, exactly right.
I agree.
That's
and again,
huge. Yeah.
it's massive. And I think it's also about the intention of the audience. So like, who are you trying to convey that hot, sassy, sad, whatever all the adjectives you just described, who are you trying to convey that to?
Yeah.
I think as well, identifying that needs to be a part of your intention, because if you don't understand the audience that you're going to be sharing your music with, then why are you sharing it in the first place?
And I think that's where the coming soon and out now post, that's where they fall down.
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
Because audiences don't give a fuck
Yeah.
about your out now post. And your out now post is not going to, with a link, is not going to make them want to click into Spotify and listen to your song or your catalog. So it's really, really important to understand is the narrative is going to link back to how the audience portray you. Yeah. And it's not about this one song. It's about how we develop a narrative over time and over a catalog. And our catalog is our content.
Mm-hmm.
People want to know what you stand for as an individual. I look at my brand and it converts purely because people know who I am through the content that I'm putting out on social media. So that's, for example, me mucking around with my mates on social media. It's me creating things. It's me painting floors. It's me falling over stuff. Like, people know that I'm a young 22-year-old entrepreneur that's giving everything a crack.
It's real.
They're a part of it. They're a part of that journey, and they're invested in that journey.
Yeah.
And that's because I know who I am as a person. And I've recently discovered that more through also just going internal. I think there's a lot of internal work that needs to happen to be able to understand who you are and what you stand for as a person.
Yeah.
I'm honest, I'm transparent, and I'm also creating content for me at the same time too. I'm creating content that's filling my cup, and I'm enjoying doing that. But in the reverse, it's like, well, because I'm enjoying it and putting so much time and effort and care and really enjoying the process, it's converting because people can see my true authenticity. And I think that comes down to, again, understanding your who, what, why, how,
when,
if. But I think that's intention, and that's very important. But then we move down the track to actually curating that content.
Yeah, the creation.
Oh, go, Benny. This is where you shine,
yes,
my
Benny.
friend.
Yes, queen. Look, talking about creation, I think as Anth mentioned, a lot of artists aren't content creators. But it is so easy to create content now. It is so easy to create content. We've got
accessible.
our phones.
Yeah.
It's accessible. It's not like it was never like, it's not like it used to be where you had to go get a videographer or a photographer all the time. You are the creative. You have all the tools. We have the CapCuts. We have the video editors. We have the TikToks. We have everything that at our fingertips. What's really important is how efficient we are and how authentic we're creating that content.
Absolutely.
I wanted to if you guys don't mind, I wanted to talk about some tangible ways. Firstly, we can create content in the planning stages and the curation stages, and then also in the editing and execution stages too. You both would see this with artists all the time. Artists always ask, "Oh, we need more content." And most of the time, what are you saying to these artists most of the time when they're asking for more content and saying that they need more content?
Yeah, look, I think I don't know how to say this without being a dick.
It's okay. That's what we're here for.
I'll just be a dick. Look, I think that content is really, 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 really important. The mindset around content is even more important. So, the moment we hear an artist say, "Oh, I don't want to do that because it's cringy," it's like, okay, don't do that. But what are we going to do that fits in that place that you're comfortable with, that we can implement over a longer period of time and implement over a catalog? I think the biggest thing that we speak about is consistency over a longer period.
Yeah.
And all of the things that we're going to go through today, from creation all the way down to placement, is not going to happen off one bit of virality or one, TikTok that gets 200 views or whatever it is. It happens incrementally over time as we develop our catalog. That is the biggest thing that I think, at least I speak to artists about every day. They're like, if we do this challenge video, then that'll get some views and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, it's actually not how it works. We need to implement this over a longer period of time. It's really going to have some effect over that time because you can test, you can see what your specific audience is liking and not liking, and you can streamline from there.
I agree. And I think in terms of tangible actions, we spoke really heavily with one of our former management clients, Miller Roberts, and I'm going to use her as an example because she's done such an excellent job at it in the last few months. We talked to her about, okay, she didn't feel super comfortable, and we said, that's so fine. You have to feel, you have to create content that's going to feel authentic to you. But what we did was we sat down with her and we said, we're not in a release schedule at the moment, so we don't have anything to drive the audio. Your catalog is already out. Let's, for a month, you put down 3 things that you feel strongly about. And so obviously it was her audio, and then it was her obsession with Taylor Swift, and then it was her something else about how she wanted to convey
op shopping.
Oh, the op shopping, yes. So we had 3 things for the month. And we took her through this plan. Okay, now create 10 bits of content that's going to surround your audio and what you want it to convey to the audience, and then create 10 bits of content around the op shopping. And she had like op shop Thursdays or whatever it is, and she created an outfit every Thursday from an op shop. And then her Taylor Swift thing turned into, her obsession with Taylor Swift turned into a series where she broke down an album of Taylor Swift's. And so they were her series of content over the month, and her consistency and her pure joy of talking about her music or Taylor Swift or op shopping created such an immense culture within her community of audiences, her people. So what I would urge artists to do is, if you don't know where to start with content and you're in the planning or editing stages, and I know we're talking about the actual creation, but I think the planning is so important because, again, your content is your audio. So one of those needs to be, how am I conveying my audio in lots of different ways for audiences to ingest it? And then what other things do I feel really strongly about, and how can I showcase my personality through those things consistently in that month or whatever? And it's going to look different for everyone, but I think, I don't know, in terms of tangibility, is that kind of...
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's a good one.
It's important to have some pillars. We've spoken about pillars in other episodes of the podcast, and how you're converting those pillars into content.
100%.
There are so many ways to do that, and there's so much out there and so many facets of how you can be creating these contents. Including like the planning stage. I think where you kind of really just touched on the planning stage, which is awesome, because you're understanding those values, those ideologies that you have, the loves that you have in life.
100%.
That's where you're starting, and you've seen with your client that straight away we've conveyed that message. Then when she drops a song or she releases some music, everyone gravitates to it because they're like, oh my God, I love her so much.
Yeah.
Because she's just like me. She loves Taylor Swift, and I'm going to listen to her song.
Based on the analytics, like, you're dropping a song on a platform that's active, regardless of, the content itself, there's activity there.
Yeah.
We're more likely to get, people across the song if there's activity on the profile in the off-peak period.
Yeah.
I just want to add to what Christina was saying there. I was lucky enough to go to an online seminar with the people from TikTok Australia a couple of months ago, and it was really, really insightful. It was based around music, obviously. And the lady that was running the seminar said that when it comes to basically any social media, but specifically for TikTok, for artists, they should have 3 to 5 main pillars of their brand across TikTok. So the first is obviously their music and their releases. Mm-hmm. And then, like we said with Miller, the other one was Taylor Swift. And the other one was the op shopping thing.
And they can always change. Month to month, we challenged her to think of different things as well, or challenge every artist to think of different things.
Or they develop into something else and something further. But what was explained to me was that as those ideas develop, more content is able to be created and more ideas are able to be generated. And off the back of those ideas come more, because realistically, the biggest issue that faces most artists is that they don't know what to post. They're like, I don't know what I'm doing here that's going to work. Whereas if we just have 55 ideas, well, let's just do it and see what is working. And then
See
we
what
can actually
converts.
have some market research to develop further.
Yeah, very important. And ways you can do that too, even creating that content, some tangible ways. CapCut is incredible.
Yeah.
If you don't have CapCut on your phone, there are so many templates. There's so much you can do as an artist on CapCut.
The computer version's really good as well.
Computer, phone, tablet. CapCut is the way moving forward for accessible video editing with pre-built templates, overlays, sounds. I'm a sucker for CapCut. I have all the Premiere Pro and After Effects and Photoshops and Lightrooms. CapCut prominently wins in the really easy organic content space. To create content for me, I will always pull out my phone in the funniest of moments, even the moments that I don't think we're going to capture content, and sit the phone somewhere in a space, whether it be in a meeting or it will be when I'm going to get a toasty in the morning and just talking to camera. And I film to my camera roll with the intention of not actually getting content out of it. I find that when I do that, what happens is I'll go back 2 days later and I'll go through my content. I'll be able to piece together 5 or 6 reels and narratives based on my day, purely because I've just documented it organically with no intention. I think sometimes when we find that we need intention behind our content, but we shy away. As soon as the camera's on us, we sit there and go, one thing that I think all artists should do, as soon as you've got that camera on you in the morning and you're like, it's like you're in your own space, in your own world, that's when you're at your most vulnerablest. That's when you can convert. And it's about sitting there and then watching that back and being like, oh my gosh, whoa, I just gave some like valuable piece of information there, and cutting it together. Those two go hand in hand very well in creating on-the-go content that converts. And I promise you that content consistently converts on social platforms all the time.
There's no excuse now. Like we have, like you just mentioned, CapCut, Canva.
Free.
There's multiple other platforms that we can talk about, but there's nothing like, I'm sure that we'll do it after we film this podcast. We'll get our phone out in 4K HD.
Yeah.
Most of the world's got iPhones or Samsungs, and we'll film something.
If you have iPhones, we love you.
Yeah, absolutely. They're way easier.
Samsung? No, I'm kidding.
Suck. Anyway.
Stop listening.
Get away. But there's no excuse to do it. It's easy, it's available, and you're giving your audience access, and that's what's important.
I also want to quickly touch on the people or the artists who potentially don't feel comfortable face to camera, because you both do it very, very well. I am not someone who will do that, and I'll look at it 1,000 times and I'll be like, no, I won't do that. Which is why
I confirm she spends 8 hours a day looking at it.
Which is why I won't feature that much on TikTok. But for those artists, I think that just taking your phone out and filming the different parts of your day that you don't have to be in the camera, but filming your toasty morning run, or doing your gym or whatever it is, that will still allow audiences to get an understanding of who you are. Yeah. And even again, linking it back to audio, putting your song over the top of that might be very helpful in someone discovering the sound that they like from you. So I just, also want to touch on, it's okay if you're not forward facing on the camera. There are different ways that you can kind of develop your personal brand outside of just being talk to camera.
And I think it's about what your intention are with your personal brand. I mean, for an artist, it's very different to someone that's entrepreneurial or that's selling a course or a product. When you're selling a course or a product, you're trying to hook people in 24/7. You're trying to convert. You're trying to get leads. You're trying to bring people in. You're trying to provide value to your client. Yeah, with different. Music, the value that you're providing is the song, is the story, is the emotion, is the connection that you have as an individual to those people. Yeah. So you have to think about your content very differently. As someone that is not a musician and that is not selling a course, but is selling my personality and showcasing my personality to be able to then make people feel like they get to know me, to feel welcomed in my communities or my projects. There's a beautiful synergy between the two of those. But as an artist, don't think that you need to provide value to people all the time. If one of your core brand pillars is providing value, then find ways to provide value in terms of these are the synth patches that I'm using on my new EP, or this is my top 5 tips to working in a studio, or recording or EQing vocals. If that's you, do that. If it's not, be organic. Just put a video of yourself just singing, showcasing your talent, your emotion.
Absolutely.
Just show people what you love to do and show people you loving doing it.
Yep.
Do that even make sense?
No,
yeah,
absolutely.
and it's as
That's
simple
important.
as putting the phone in the back of your studio when you're
Forgetting it's there.
yeah. And even if you do the time lapse, I mean that's still very
I'm a
valuable
sucker
for your
a time
audiences.
lapse. I
Yeah.
love a time lapse. I time lapse everything. Even my exercise workouts look at my form because then I look at how funny I look like doing push-ups like at fast motion. And there's no excuse.
No.
If you want to create tailor-made, clean pro content because that's your brand, then collaborate with other photographers, collaborate with videographers, book a studio like the Content Hub in Tullamarine, like stupid old studios. There's so many places that you can book to be able to actually create content, collaborate with people. One other tip that I find is really easy that really helps motivate me in creating content for my personal brand is going away with a bunch of mates and having an intention to go and have fun and create content this weekend in an Airbnb or in a studio or out on the streets of Melbourne.
Even in your home.
You and your mates are so good at that.
We
Yeah.
love going away. Again, it's inexpensive. You go get an Airbnb or a little studio space. It might cost you $300 for the night or $300 for the day. You split that between 6 people. It now becomes affordable and you're all helping each other create content because you all know each other's brands. You know who each other are.
It's no longer embarrassing to create content.
No, not
and
at all.
if you think it is, you're behind.
Exactly right.
You know, we should all be helping each other, you know, create catalog. You know, it's just a different version of catalog.
And also it will look different for everyone.
Absolutely.
So you don't again, because there are going to be artists who aren't like we spoke and it's mostly like potentially different genres that are more comfortable and some that aren't so comfortable in being that driven by social media. It's just about having something up there that's going to convey who you are to an audience and push the audience to your audio. And that's all it is.
I think that really leads us into our next kind
Yeah.
of category, which is profile activity. And this is a little bit more for the data nerds and you know, we're going to touch on like different things like link trees and aesthetic and stuff like that. I want to start with aesthetic because this is, I think Benny knows where I'm going to go with this. I want to start with aesthetic because it's a good kind of lead on from what you just said, Chris. No one cares about your aesthetic. No one.
No, not as an artist.
No one gives a fuck about your aesthetic. It's so important for everyone to understand. I deal with artists on the daily that don't want to post this and don't want to post that because it doesn't fit their aesthetic brand. Christina is one of them.
I'm not an artist.
Oh, tell us how you really feel
I know.
today, man.
Oh boy.
About to have a domestic. No, but and my whole big thing with that and profile activity is if no one's actually, if no listener or no audience member is actually going to your profile in the first place, the aesthetic ceases to do its job.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that's the first thing to really understand. Yes, visual aesthetic is important in the way that you generate your narrative and your story, but it should never hold us back from posting content that will actually connect with an audience or engage with an audience. So I think one of the things that we should also touch on is that every comment, every like, every bit of engagement, every DM is also a form of content.
Correct. It's community. You're building
Absolutely.
connection. You're building community. You're building relevance. You're building
Connection.
connection to your audience. And I think it's important. Everyone will sit there and be like, I have an aesthetic. I have a brand. I think brand and aesthetic are very different things, but also go very much hand in hand.
Yeah.
I mean, as a brand, like I don't have an aesthetic on my feed, but you know my brand. You know what I stand for. However, if you're selling a candle, you're selling your visual merchandising. It needs to have an aesthetic. It needs to have consistency because you're buying into the look and feel and touch and smell of that object. As an artist, it's really important to be promoting your brand, not necessarily your aesthetic.
You're selling a feeling.
100%.
Music is feeling. Music is about a listener putting on a pair of headphones and going, I feel a certain way because of the emotion in this lyric or the way that kick drum hit or whatever it may be, the smallest thing. Content is an extension of that.
Exactly.
And so, you know, profile aesthetic is generally just linked to, you know, the ego of an artist or, you know, which we're going to get into in later episodes. But, you know, I think it's just so important to understand that. It's so important. You do not need to go through every release and delete your entire gallery. It does my pickle in when artists do that. Because you're just taking away catalog.
Your content matters.
Yeah, you're taking away catalog that people can still discover.
I really love going through artists. Like you can scroll down my Instagram account and see me with a massive wave fringe haircut that I spent so much time doing every single morning. But it builds character. People go to me, oh my God, I loved you when you were back in that day.
It's your story, mate. It's your
Building
story.
connection and story.
Yeah.
Well, talk us through then. What are some tangible ways that artists can prepare their profiles, whether that be Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, YouTube, to be consistent and you can prepare ready for the platform?
Yeah, I think
how can we be preparing those platforms?
I think first things first, and again, this is a little bit more data-y and optimizy. I think going through and doing
data and optimizing.
Yeah, are they words? They're not words. Am I just making things up now?
Yeah, it's okay. You can make things up. That's what we do.
The first thing that I would be doing is what's called a link analysis.
Yep.
So going through every link that you have attached to any profile and making sure that those links work and the ease of use. So user experience, we'll call it,
Yep.
is as easy as possible.
Do you think those things can be sometimes subjective to you though? Should this be something that you should be doing with someone else or asking a friend, hey, can you go through my profile and just see how
Both.
easy it is
Oh
to
yeah,
access?
you definitely could do that.
I think
Yeah.
sometimes these things can be subjective and you can sit there and be like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, both. I think a really good example of this is Linktree.
Yep.
So we love Linktree. Linktree, I would say that
Again, it's free for
free.
artists listening.
Absolutely. I would say that Linktree is way more important than having your own website as an independent and developing artist because it gives you direct access to where the audience is, where you want to point your audiences to. The one big thing that we speak to that's a bit more tangible is having a Linktree with 50,000 links in it is not going to be overly active.
Yeah, correct.
And so what we've spoken about to a lot of artists, and Chris, you could probably jump in here, is around how to lay out your Linktree to be a little bit more user-friendly.
Yeah, and it's as simple as creating headings and keeping the links fairly succinct to what you want to communicate. So again, it would often be an audio, maybe a music video, and something that's important to you, whether it's a show or your latest vlog or whatever it is. I think a lot of the time, and I hope you don't mind, when we talk to artists on development sessions and consulting and all of those things, we use your Linktree as an example because it's very well laid out. It's easy. There's like 4 links in there.
It is because I did it.
Oh, okay.
It is. Ant did do that for me. Correct.
And you know exactly when you go there what you're looking for and how to find it. And I think, again, it points to the user experience
And
for that.
again, something a bit more tangible in terms of how to outlay our social on something like a Linktree is to add icons.
Yeah.
Totally.
We can add them across the top, have a little bio that explains what you are, then 3 to 4 links.
Make it as easy as possible. In marketing and in retail and in e-commerce, it's all about the funnel. It's about creating the funnel of ease of use to be able to encapsulate your audience and make it as easy as possible for them to consume your product.
Totally.
So making sure that these links, these funnels that you're creating for your content is easy, is transparent. If your grandma can use it, it's probably perfect.
Absolutely.
I think I just want to touch on the preparing the platforms. Audience, you're again, your main content, your audio, your audiences want to come and listen to you. And if they can't find you, that's a real huge problem.
Optimizing.
So in terms of preparing your platform, ensure that and artists might think this is very easy, but a lot of artists don't do it. Ensure that all of your profile pictures are the same.
Yeah.
Ensure that there are easy links to find. So your
Touch
Linktree is,
points,
your Linktree is always on every single part of your platform. This is my pet peeve, and I'm sorry if I get angry, but please ensure that you have an email on somewhere that can be found by industry or media or whatever, because you're missing opportunities for people to contact you. There are so many times I go to message an artist and I don't want to use Instagram DM because it's going to get lost or it's going to get put in their requests or whatever. Please put your email on there so I can contact you. Like it's a lot of industry will only, I know this is going off topic, but a lot of industry will always prefer email.
We're talking about preparing for them to have the eyeballs on the profile. It's
Totally.
important that this is in
We'll
here.
use us as an example. We do a monthly listening session.
Yep.
Every month we sit down and we spend the entire day listening to new music to, number one, get ourselves across what's going on, attune our ears to what's happening, but also to find artists that we think are cool and then hit them up, not to work together, but just to say, hey, what's going on?
And also to give them validation that, hey, your content, your audio or your content, your aesthetic or your visuals or how you represent yourself are really, really great and you're doing a good job, continue. Or this is maybe a suggestion that we have seen happen before, let us help you through this. And we can't contact them because we can't find them.
if people know your look, if people know what you stand for, and if everything is consistent and transparent, all of my profiles, you can see it's exactly the same thing. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, they are all the same. They have the exact same link in their bio, the exact same bio with obviously variations. You can find my email, you can find my contact, my website, and a way to contact me straight away. I've made it as easy as possible so there is no excuse when someone does want to work with me or wants to reach out, they can. And I think that's the takeaway from this section of today is that audit it, ask people, make sure the user experience when they search your name and your brand is there and is enjoyable for the user.
Yeah, totally.
Even one thing, pinning posts to the top.
I wanted to get.
Oh, you can take
No.
this.
No,
Oh,
you
no.
go ahead,
I
'cause
wanted
you're
you
the
to
one
get
who
to this
taught-
because I think this is really important.
This is so important. And I also was energized on this topic when I went to a seminar. The top 3 posts on your Instagram especially are the first 3 that people look at. On my Instagram, it has a massive achievement that I made, whether that be winning an award or selling out a show or doing a TV show or a podcast. It's got a post that explains who I am and what I'm about, and it really shows my personality. And then has another one of my brand pillars, whether it's be one of my businesses or community or a milestone in my life. Those top 3 posts on Instagram and on YouTube, the cover thing, the cover video, the thumbnail, that first video when you log on to someone's YouTube account too, that's like, hi, I'm Benny, and this is what I do.
Yeah.
It's about making it as easy as possible for people to contact you. Correct.
Yeah, it hooks people in to want to watch more. You know, I would like, and I haven't spoken to you guys about this, but I'd love to do a whole kind of episode on YouTube because I think it's something that's completely lost.
And even the
Yeah,
monetization of
Yeah.
YouTube now for creators is becoming such a big thing in Australia, which
Absolutely.
we could sit here and talk all day
Yeah.
about. But we will move on to back catalog. Now, creating routine and consistency is very important, and being consistent. And one thing that I've had a pitfall, and I can speak from pure experience right now, is that I'm currently in the process of renovating that content hub, that creative hub in Tullamarine. The first 6-7 days I was on fire with content. That's because I had a catalog, because I was while I was posting that content, I was also in Queensland, because I filmed it prior to, and I created a catalog. I got to the hardest week of my life last week. No, I'm kidding. It wasn't the hardest week of my life, but it was hard. Things went wrong. We had to pull things down, and I did not have any content to post. And everyone was like to me, we were just getting used to seeing you post all the day about your content. I became overwhelmed and I nearly had a mental breakdown, which every artist I know will feel this way. And I didn't want to post content because I wasn't looking my best. I didn't have personality. That's where I think having a catalog and a backlog of content is really important.
I think, you know, like tangibly the best way to do this is that if we use it like you've mentioned, that creative hub, you know, if we keep it to a release or to a show, for an artist, you know, before going into distribution, have that content ready.
Yeah.
You know, have, you know, however many, 10 to 30 videos ready, you know, with some form of hook or promotion for that.
Yeah.
You know, and then what you can do, Meta Business Suite, schedule it in.
Yeah, correct.
You know, schedule it across Instagram. You know, I know one of the things that we do for our TikToks is that we've got, I think at the moment, like a back catalogue of 30 videos.
Yeah.
You know, and they're easily edited.
That's huge, actually, mind you. I think we need to take time to appreciate that.
Yeah, it's
Well done.
thank you.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
It takes a lot of time. You know, I actually work. Who would have thunk it?
Thunk it. Who would have thunk it? I don't know. No one would have thunk it, but they would have thought it.
But you know, they're edited, they're there, they're ready in drafts every day, 9 a.m. Go in, send, or post.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just easy. It's something that I don't need to think about at the end of that. You know, when I realize that I'm getting down to 5 videos. Okay, you know, I've filmed a whole bunch more. Let's jump in. You know, let's start editing those and get that up. And I think having a back catalog is really important. It's the same with music. You know, if you've got a release kind of cycle, lined up 3 or 4 releases over a 6 to 8 month period, you've got
Or a year period. Yeah.
You've got, you know, a year to work on the next year.
Yeah, correct.
You know, without having to worry about rushing things out, without having to worry
and
about
enjoying the process, creating
man.
content that you enjoy doing, going and doing it, spending a day, enjoying the process. When it becomes rushed, it becomes unenjoyable and it becomes a chore, and you feel like you're
Absolutely.
working.
and that's where artists burn out.
Totally.
That's where 99% of burnout from artists comes from. It's from the fact that they are consistently overwhelmed
And they're feeling under pressure.
because they're not organized.
And you feel like you have to produce content, and content doesn't have to be posting every day.
No.
For me, I post 2 to 3 times a week. Some of my businesses, we only post twice a week and it converts better than it does 4 times a week.
Sometimes less is more.
It doesn't need to be consistent, but it needs to be wholesome. It needs to be organic. It needs to be intentional. And the way you create intention is just by being you and being authentic.
100%.
Talking about different content, does the content necessarily need to be visual in terms of, or is content, are we talking about content as Facebook, Instagram, or are we talking about content in terms of the way that you're also tangibly promoting your show or your release outside of socials?
I think it all fits under the one banner. You know, realistically, obviously shows, you know, at the local level, you're probably organizing a show, you know, anywhere between a month and 2 months out from the show itself. So, you know, just having a really solid understanding, okay, what do I need on show night so that I'm not stressed, so that I can perform my best? Do I need someone there, a friend who's going to be taking, you know, do I need Benny Greggs there taking video like Mystico, like at the Mystico show?
Yeah.
Do I need a videographer or a photographer there doing that stuff? Having that kind of organized for the night is really important. But I think, yeah, obviously there's not a lot of time in between the month that you organize it and the actual show itself, but that's okay. You know, we can develop stuff to run out post show.
Yeah.
You know, there doesn't need to be multiple things that are running all the time. We just don't need to put so much pressure on it. We really don't.
I also think that controversial opinion that music videos are a little bit dead from a local independent artist level. I think we should be taking that money that you're going to be spending, the $200, $300, $400, $500, whatever it might be, K on music videos, into taking that money and spending on creators or organic content that you could be filming and repurposing from your shows, your live acts, from your bedroom. I create so many live performance videos for artists. Like I can't even count how many videos I've done. And they convert 8 to 9 times better. Absolutely. I don't know how I came up with that number. But you know, it converts better than a music video does at a local level, because it should be organic, and it needs, like, you know, an artist will come to me and say, hey Benny, we want to shoot a video for $5,000. And I sit there and go, $5,000? You could spend $1,000 on content and spend the other $2,000 on promoting and Facebook ads and Instagram ads. Like, if you wanted that return on investment,
absolutely.
I sit there and go, what? It's a waste.
It is.
So
it's a waste of money.
This is a really good topic. So I wrote an article fairly recently, and I got so much hate on this article. And the title of the article was "Music Videos Are Irrelevant."
Yeah.
And the hate that I was getting was a little bit unfounded. It hurt my feelings a little bit.
Yeah.
But essentially, the reason why music videos are irrelevant is because in the early 2000s and the 90s, everyone was watching music videos because everybody was watching MTV.
Correct.
Meaning that
Rage.
Rage, V-Hits.
I miss Rage.
So do I. Meaning that music videos were a vital part to the marketing of your release.
Correct.
Name 3 people you know that watch MTV, Rage, or V-Hits now for the music videos. I bet not one listener can name one.
No, I just search it on YouTube if I like the artist, which is mainly from a,
On a YouTube perspective, great videos that have cost $5,000 have got 3 views before.
Yeah, all the time.
Right.
Those organic ones,
Yeah.
skyrocket.
So my thing to all artists out there that want to create music videos, if you are an artist that wants a visual representation of your audio that is not marketing, that is a narrative building thing, spend your $5,000, go for it.
Yeah.
If you are doing a music video as a marketing tool, you are wasting your time.
Yeah, that's a really great way of putting it. I've never put it that way before. I think that's very important. And I guess if you're going in the intention to pull out X, Y, Z, and it's going to be a month worth of content, and you're going to repurpose that, I think this is really, it's great. Narrative building, very important. There's so many artists that do music videos that are repurposed in so many different formats that it's not just about using it as a content tool. It's actually using it for more than just
absolutely,
a marketing objective.
Absolutely. But at the same time, you could spend way less.
You could spend $500 and do it organically
and just get that short form.
Exactly right, and it would probably convert.
I think a summary is that whenever you're creating content, just understand where the audiences are going to consume it.
Correct.
Like have a clear intention, but also understand where your audiences are consuming. So if you have a really active YouTube channel, create your music video, not as a marketing tool, but as a representation of that single, and enjoy it for what that is. And then cut it down, put it on socials, do whatever you want. use it, whatever, pitch it out, do your thing. I think if your audiences are only on TikTok, or you're trying to build your social audiences, or you want people to stream on Spotify or whatever it is, ensure that you're creating the content that is going to achieve your intention.
Yeah, exactly.
Your goal.
Again, I think this leads to our next thing, which is placement.
Yeah.
You're very good with the segues today, Christina. I think the placement side of things, when it comes to a marketing standpoint, I think the hardest thing that an artist can do is get an audience member to go from one platform to another.
Correct.
It will always be the hardest thing to do, because that journey of them going to a Linktree, then going to a Spotify to listen, right? That is not linear.
The conversion, yeah.
That conversion is never going to be linear, because by the time they get to Spotify, they're going to be exposed to 4 or 5 million different things, not million, but 4 or 5 different things that are going to take up some of their attention. And by the time they get to the profile, they're going to forget what they're there for.
Yeah.
And that's what we call audience attention span, right? Audience attention span is always going to be low. So I think when it comes to placement of content, it's really important to understand, the audience, but from a marketing standpoint, what are we doing on that platform for the audience on that specific platform? What are we doing on Spotify for the audience on Spotify? What are we doing on Instagram for the people on Instagram? How are we generating discovery in each platform to let them make the decision to go over and listen?
Don't use the same content on all platforms.
No,
No.
because it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And I guess, should we touch on what we've noticed the trends are on each platform for, I mean, not trends, but kind of like on TikTok, we were speaking about this yesterday. It's more authentic content that's going to convey.
TikTok is
slightly
really
better.
quick, organic, authentic content that's short, that just has a bit of,
It's accessible.
yeah. Where I find that Instagram is someone that's
Bit more curated.
it's you want to curate it. People really like seeing things that are a bit more thought out, that are a bit more personal, that feel like it's time has been put into creating the content.
Totally.
Because they're very different audiences.
They are. And I think, again, on Facebook, using that as kind of your housing page, your housing tool, where you're putting your wins, your, links to your music video or whatever it is, that's kind of your website. Right now is how people are consuming independent artists' music on Facebook.
The content that I find is really converting on Facebook at the moment is a single image with a little description and a link to your link tree that links you to a further article or a further video or a further content piece.
Yeah.
That's what's converting really well on Facebook at the moment. People love seeing a quick photo. If the photo grabs their attention, they'll click the link and it says read more. I mean, sometimes you think it's a scam. But that's the content that's converting so well.
Yeah.
And I've rolled that type of content out in 3 of my businesses down in regional Victoria, and they are working an absolute treat, because if people want to consume more, they will, and they'll click the link, and then they're invested in that content because it's taken them to the platform.
Also events. Facebook is so good
For
just to generate events and generate data and generate more audience from events that you can then siphon off into other platforms.
Absolutely.
But don't create the same content for all individual channels.
No.
Make sure you have a different, you can call it strategy. I don't want people to be overwhelmed. I mean, it doesn't have to be that deep, but you have to just think of a different, you just have to make sure that you know the audience that are on those platforms.
Absolutely.
And know how the platform converts.
Also, to just noting artists, you don't have to use every platform if you are not comfortable on it, or you don't think your audiences are on it. There are some artists who don't even use Instagram or TikTok very well. They have content on there because that's what but their main platform is Twitch or Discord or YouTube. It
Very
just depends.
underrated too.
It really, but it also just depends on where their audiences are consuming. If they're really, really great on Twitch and they love to game or produce live or whatever it is, that's where you should focus.
Go where your audience is.
Yeah, you don't have to focus on TikTok and creating content on there if it's not for you.
Exactly right. Well, hey, let's recap today, because I feel like the artists listening at the moment might be a little bit overwhelmed, and we want to just make a disclaimer that content is very important in your narrative. However, it's not the only thing that you should be thinking of, and you'll listen to today and be like, there is so much to consume, but take things step by step. It's not a race. It's all about enjoying the process as well. And as someone that's burnt out many times and that has multiple facets in my organization, and so do you guys, it's really important that you are enjoying the process. You're not just thinking about creating content for the sake of it. You're also enjoying the journey that is creating the narrative and connecting with your fans and your followers too.
I think let's break it down.
Yeah, let's break it down.
Get your pens and paper out, everyone. Develop a goal. an intention, understand who your audiences are, I think is the first one, right?
100%.
And then how you're then going to plan it out. Plan out your month or your week and understand the content that you want to create and then execute on that content.
The process of creation.
Yeah.
Yep. And don't be afraid to do this 1 or 2 months before you actually need to be able to put this content out.
Totally.
To make the process a little less overwhelming as well.
Make it smooth.
Profile activity. It's about making the funnel. It's about making your profile digestible, accessible, easy to use.
Yep.
Oh, look at that. See?
Number 4 is back catalog. So just making sure that we're organized.
Just get some content ready.
Yeah.
Don't make yourself stressed.
Schedule is a beautiful thing.
Yes. When Instagram released that in the platform,
How good's Meta
my.
Business Suite?
We love Meta
Yeah,
Business Suite.
love
Shout out to
I think
Meta.
also too, just creating content that's going to have those pillars. So your audio, everything drives back to that. Maybe a culture pillar,
Yep.
maybe a lifestyle pillar.
And put them on the wall.
Put
And
'em on the
really
wall.
understand your content pillars. I have a what, why, and how for every business that I have, for everything that I do. These guys can vouch for that. It's always what, why, how. Always come back to that. And if it skews, if it changes, change it. Put a new poster up.
It's
in your wall.
supposed to change. As
Exactly
you
right.
develop, as your music develops, everything will change.
Development. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's in the word, isn't it?
Then the last one is placement.
Yeah. How it's, where is it placing? How is it looking? The different formats and the different types of the content that's going out to each of those platforms is very important too.
And then the 6 is rinse and repeat.
Exactly right. And enjoy the process.
Yeah.
I can't fathom them enough. I'm saying that now so that when I listen back to the podcast, I can remind myself to enjoy the process. We all get caught up in it.
Yeah. Everybody burns out. Everybody burns out. And it's putting these things in place will help ensure that we're not burning out as often.
Correct.
You know, the burnout still will happen, but if we're organized and if we're following, intention all the way down to placement, we're able to then, negate that as much as possible.
Exactly right. Oh, well said. You know what? We could just skip the whole start of the episode and just go to that last part because that's where all the money was there.
Maybe we should edit it so we put this at the start.
It's been an absolute pleasure as always. Next podcast episode, we are talking about artist expectation, which I know that Anth and Chris love. I think more Anth is all about the artist ego and the expectation.
Get ready, everyone.
This week in the office, there has been so much conversation about the artist's expectation and your expectations as an artist and the expectations you put on other people too. And you'll also be seeing lots more content from us at the Creative Hub where we're all based now, which is pretty amazing.
It's been so much fun.
It's been fun
already.
working in an office.
We have
together,
an
hasn't it?
office. It's pretty cool. We've got lots of facilities and you can see all those facilities online at that Creative Hub AU as well. Where can we find Cartel?
At Cartel Australia on all platforms. Cartelaustralia.com.au is our website, and there you'll find all our articles. Anthony.Agostino on LinkedIn.
We love LinkedIn.
And cartel.australia on TikTok.
And you can find what I do at Benny Gregg's. Obviously, this is on the BG community page. We create an organization to help emerging artists feel connected in the industry. And you can find me on LinkedIn as well at Benjamin Gregory. It's very formal.
Yeah. And
Goodness
guys,
gracious, I don't have a LinkedIn, so you don't.
You've actually got 2.
I've got 2 pages, but I don't use them. So you can
don't go
just
there.
just talk to Anth, and then I'll speak to you eventually.
And also, just before we jump off, guys, make sure you're hitting that like and subscribe. But also, we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to, if we're covering any topics or you have any feedback for us, please let us know.
Yeah, 100%.
We are here to serve you. So please give us all the feedback.
And hey, if you don't agree with anything we say, make sure you let us know about it. We want to hear about your thoughts. We want to hear about your real life issues and triumphs and struggles in the industry too, so we can
Absolutely.
we can bring those to the light of day. Great episode, guys.
Thank you so
See you guys
much,
next time.
everyone. See ya.
Bye.